in the App Store?
I think it's a National Real Estate Post. It could be Mortgage Shots.
Okay.
This is a good wishy-washy answer.
Wishy-washy answer. Well, hello there, lab coat folks. Myself, Sean Curley, with the one and only Brian Stevens with National Real Estate Post / Mortgage Shots. We're going to talk to you about what's going on in the current mortgage market as of right now. And again, like I always say, go to your app store, download an NREP, National Real Estate Post, your mobile app for your cell phone electronic device, and you get to watch Brian and his team come out with some really, really good content each and every day. But first things first, we had the president sign a 45-day continuance so the government would not shut down as of 12 o'clock this morning. So we kicked the can another month and a half. We haven't seen a shutdown, a government shutdown since 2019. And we were trying to put out some stuff to folks on what if the government does shut down? What actually, in fact, happens? Because it does hamper our ability to help folks get debt in the form of mortgages. So, Brian, I know it's been a hot minute, what, four years ago, whenever we saw this last time, let alone with like TSA guys and girls not getting paid for checking IDs at the airport. But on the mortgage side, what really happens whenever the government shuts down?
Well, what I heard is if we have a shutdown, that it could trigger a recession, which kind of looks inevitable at this point.
Yeah.
So it would hasten the inevitable. And I think that sounds like a pretty good idea to me. If we're going to have it, my God, could we have gotten this over with last year? So let's hasten the inevitable, because as every professional rate prognosticator out there is telling you, rates will come down when we have a recession. Brilliant. My God, I can't believe somebody came up with that.
Yes.
Well, let me tell you, if we have a bad economy, rates are going to come down. Yeah, rates are going to come down if we have a recession. A recession is inevitable. A shutdown would get us closer to lower interest rates, which would help out housing. And I say, shut the government down. It's all theater, dude. It is all theater out there for your amusement and for my amusement, and to keep us from looking at the reality of the situation, which is everything is foobarred right now.
Yes.
Okay? Now, hold on a second. If you shut the government down, my God, some people who depend on those paychecks aren't going to get paid. Well, take a look at the real estate and lending community and what you've done to us. There's a whole bunch of people in our community who aren't getting paid right now because of your actions. I say, F it. You too. Right? How many realtors and lenders are out there right now aren't getting deals closed, moving 25% of the United States GDP because we foobarred this thing so bad? I say, screw it. If government employees don't get paid, screw them. Oh, well, it's going to. The rating agencies are going to downgrade the U.S. dollar and global economy. Well, guess what? You've been downgrading my credit. You've been downgrading a whole bunch of realtors' credit. You've been downgrading a bunch of lenders' credits. I say, F it. Let's downgrade everybody's credit, because that's what everyone deserves right now. Your actions, which are too reprehensible and difficult for you to deal with on a federal level, seems to be the status quo for real estate and lending. So I say, if you're going to shut down lending in real estate, which you've effectively done, shut the whole thing down. Let's get lower interest rates.
I thought we were going to go a different route, like, no USDA funding because they're furloughed. Can't get
shut it down. At this point, seriously, like the whole industry is like such a laughable mess right now, a ridiculous, laughable mess. Right? Let's take your USDA deals right now. Great, who's doing those deals? Do you know a study just came out that said 99% of people in this country cannot afford the average priced home? What does it matter if we have USDA or not? It doesn't even matter anymore. You can't use it. If I can't afford the price of the ticket to go in and see Taylor Swift, I don't give a shit what song she's playing. That's what they've done to that's what they've done to the housing industry right now. Well, I mean, my God, look at these loan level price adjustments with Fannie Mae and Freddie. This is unbelievable what they've done. We're going to make it easy for people with bad credit to go ahead and get mortgages. They can't afford a mortgage. Who cares? Give them a 100,000 basis point improvement with a 620 credit score. They're not buying a house. Nobody's going to do a 620 credit score deal right now on a Fannie Freddie or a Ginnie deal where your average credit score is 754. Yeah. So it's all theater, dude. Shut it down, man. Shut the whole thing down. That's what I say.
Brian coming hot on this beautiful Monday morning.
Why not? I mean, like, do you really want more of the status quo? Do you want more of the status quo?
No, but this just reminds me of the meme of like the dumpster on fire, and the guy's like, "Everything's fine, everything's fine."
I'm telling you right now, Sarah, every time that we come up against our budget crunch, we do this every time. This is every time. It's a last minute, whoo, we got the budget, like every single time. And do you want to know what type of pork they're throwing into this thing at the last minute? Like the reason we have all this theater is this is when they fund a bunch of crap that makes no sense to anybody. It makes itself into all of these bills, stuff that me and you would find reprehensible on a whole bunch of levels. Yeah. Again, I mean, for me, I'm sick of this theater. I've watched it for the past 30 years. I don't know what happens when we shut the government down for 6 weeks or 2 months or 3 months. I say we shut them down. Let's do it.
Yeah,
they shut down real estate and lending with their actions, with their policies. They've effectively destroyed real estate and lending in this country. So I say what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
And it's an interesting time with next year being an election year. I didn't even look this up to see how many times that we've been in a recession during an election year, because normally it's the rosy picture that people are painting so they keep their jobs. So it'll be interesting for sure if if and when this all does come to a head, because it will. But
hey, I just filled up my truck
with
gas. Do you want to know what I paid per gallon?
Well, you're in California, and that's a whole different animal. You guys are.
Do you want to know what I paid?
$230.
Well, it was $7 a gallon.
Oh, let's go $168
a gallon.
168.
7, not 6.95. Not it's like
down.
6.99 and 9/10.
Yeah, that's quite expensive. So what was the total cost?
I put $140 in, and it didn't fill it up.
So here in Missouri, I think I paid $367 this morning, and I was still upset. So I sympathize for you out on that beautiful state. But you guys have amazing weather, amazing views, so there you go. And all we can do is laugh about it, Brian. All we can do is laugh.
Listen, this whole thing is laughable to me. You know why? Because we've been, for a lot of us, we've been here before. We've talked about this. 2008 was a whole set of different circumstances. But like understanding how to get through in a market where everybody struggles, like I got that in my DNA. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people do, and a lot of people will figure out what the rules of engagement are. They're different than in a good market. Great skills are learned in bad markets, not good markets. Like there are some realtors and lenders out there who are truly honing their skills right now and making the best of this circumstance, and they're going to be the ones who are positioned to really succeed when things do shift. And it could be 2 months, it could be 10 months. Like I said, let's have this recession. I'm ready for it. Yeah. So, when that happens and rates come down, then yeah. Oh, by the way, when rates come down, okay, so like let's say rates go down by, what did Barry say?
Well, he thinks, well, we're going to get into that. Yeah. So
what did he say? What did he say? Where are they coming down to?
Well, he didn't. They were talking about the 10-year treasury coming from where like 4.7 something down to the mid threes, maybe high twos. So that would equate to the rate should be in the fives.
Okay. All right. Let's fives. Okay. Let's say they're threes. Ooh. Let's say rates are twos. Okay. Let's say rates are 0. Okay. Honestly, 1%, because you guys, 1%. Interest rates go down to 1% tomorrow. Woo! We're all happy. Guess what? Nothing changes.
Well,
no, it doesn't change, because here's what people will do. People are going to bid the properties up to their maximum qualifying ability. They'll change. The payments won't change. The interest rates will change. The sales prices will change, but the payments aren't going to change. When you've got 100 people vying to buy 5 houses, make the rates 1%, make them 10%. It doesn't matter. We are collectively going to bid that property up to our highest qualifying capabilities, regardless of what that interest rate is. Make it a neg am deal. It doesn't even matter. Until we start building more houses, rates aren't the problem. You have 10% rates, 1% rates. The fact remains that we will not move inventory until we have more inventory to move.
Yeah. So let's recap that. You said Barry Hibby with MBS Highway. Him and his team are reporting the next, within the next calendar year that that the 10-year treasury, which interest rates go up and down with, should be starting to come down to 3.7. If the recession hits, should go down to mid twos. Whenever rates were in the twos in 2021, it was the 10-year treasury is actually under 1. So it's not like we're going to get way back to where it was, but it should help out. But you're 100% correct that, okay, now my affordability comes back. Now there's another million buyers or 2 million buyers into the market that are bidding on homes. What happens to house prices? They goes through the roof again, just like they did 3 years ago.
So they did, by the way, Sean, they did this in Japan in the
Yeah.
1980s when Tokyo was the most expensive real estate in the world. In Japan, they came out with 100-year mortgages.
Yes.
100-year mortgages because nobody could afford anything. So they started calling them generational mortgages. Well, that's going to solve the affordability problem. It turns out it didn't solve anything. What I said played out, just played out. They said the only one who 100-year mortgage benefited were the rich who understood how to work the tax code. And these generational loans, they were able to put them into trust and transfer these properties over to their kids without having any type of tax liability or consequence and keeping the loans the same. Again, I understand I understand how people like talk about rates all the time and the importance of rates, but our market isn't suffering because of rates. I mean, the economy is suffering because of rates because, well, we should be spending less, but we're not. We're just charging more. But it's really not affecting real estate right now. Our real estate, as far as I can see, this begins and ends with inventory.
Yeah. So let's talk about inventory, especially new home, because apparently we're not foreclosing on people and people are living longer. So those are your two really good avenues of getting inventory. I hate to say it, but people dying, normally the house sells. And then, people get foreclosed on that can't pay. Foreclosures are actually good for the market. Churn over, get people that are paying their damn taxes and cutting their damn yards into these new homes. But we're not doing any of that and people are living longer. So let's talk about builders. You were in one of your shows, you're saying like there's only 76,000 completed new builds that are on market. We need like 1.6 million on market to really, see this huge relief into house prices. So why are builders not building at a mass scale? Are they scared that people lost their affordability because interest rates? So now they're not selling in those subdivisions, but we still take applications every single day. We see that there's still a thirst and a demand for home ownership. So why aren't the builders building on a larger scale, especially on the lower sides of the price points?
I think the answer is actually multifaceted. I think it began with the hangover from the 2008 and 9 meltdown. So what happened in the 2008 and 9 meltdown is everybody was buying second homes, investment homes, property homes, kind of like a lot of what we're seeing right now with the Airbnbs and investors, which have backed off lately. But we saw that in droves in 2005, 6, 7, 8, and 9 because the loans were available for anybody to buy an investment property. And all that demand spiked property values. And then builders had, it was much easier for builders to build back then. It was cheaper for builders to build back then. There were fewer permits in place that had to be taken care of. So what they did was builders built to demand in 2005, 6, 7, and 8. They built to the demand based on people's capacity to acquire additional mortgages for investment property and second homes, not based on new family starts, which is a new family going out, a new family formation going out there and saying, hey, I moved out from my mom, I got married, we got our kids, we're buying a house. No, mom and dad were buying 2, 3 houses and kids were buying 2 or 3 houses. When those loans kind of bellied up, what happened is there was a glut of inventory, a massive, massive glut in inventory, and it tanked property values. So the house that was going for 400,000, you couldn't give it away for 125,000 a couple of years later. So new home builders, they got caught with their pants down is really what happened. They had massive inventory, they had massive starts, they had massive new permits. I don't know if you had it out there, but I remember like driving around areas where I live, which is in Northern California, and seeing like the roads put in, how they're getting ready to plumb for a new subdivision, and just watching the weeds growing. And what these builders did is they were taking these properties and they were selling them for pennies on the dollar because they're all going broke. So last time we had too much inventory in 2008. Right now we don't have enough inventory. Last time we didn't have enough demand. Right now we have too much demand. Different triggers, but the same type of problem. Real estate isn't moving. So I think what happened with builders back then is they're saying we can't get caught with a glut of inventory that's going to bankrupt us. So they've been very cautious with their new starts and permits. Keep in mind, when a new builder is going to go build a new subdivision, they don't just wake up one morning and build it. After they have decided that that is what they're going to do, I mean, when you look at land acquisitions, when you look at permit, like what does it take to break ground? you're a minimum of 3, most likely 5 years from conception to just breaking ground. Where's the market going to be in 5 years? So we have to have projections going forward, and new home builders are saying, well, we don't want to do that. I think what has exacerbated the situation is this COVID, which is ridiculous. And and the problem with our supply lines that we have, framing wood that we get from Canada is more expensive. We know that. Everyone talks about labor being a problem. That's probably part of it. They're not building entry level homes because they don't have to. So we're going to try to maximize our profitability on these like zero lot line McMansions that they're once again building, because there's just more money to be had in them. And I think that everybody's sitting on so much equity right now. I don't think new home builders want to start to build the small, smart homes like they need to, for fear of us losing some of this fake equity that we've gained over the past few years, even though that is the only solution to our national problems or epidemic when it comes to housing right now. So I think it's kind of morphed from we can't do what we did before to, oh my God, look at all this equity that we built up, and we're going to hang our hat on costs and COVID related problems and circumstances. I think it's probably a little bit of both of those. The truth of the matter is, though, is this is becoming an epidemic of global proportions. I mean, global proportions. When you look at what the United States housing market represents to our GDP and what our GDP represents to the global GDP. We talked about this, a ton on our show. If we can't move real estate and with any significant numbers, if we can't do that, we're never going to get out of a recession. We're not a recession, a recovery from the inevitable recession that we're going into does not happen without housing being corrected. And as I said before, Sean, we are, oh my God, mommy dearest type of the show Shameless dysfunctional right now in housing, in real estate. It's unbelievable how out of balance this market is. It's so out of balance that we're not even getting solutions bantered about that could remotely start to fix what some of the problems are. I said this before to Dave Stevens, who is the past president of the FHA and who is the president of the Mortgage Bankers Association. And, I'm a dullard. He was appointed by President Obama to run the FHA. I'm a numbskull. And I said to him, why don't we just go ahead and hire the Army Corps of Engineers to build small, smart houses? Because here's the thing. They can build a bridge over a 10-mile-long swamp in 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Surely they could build an 1,100 square foot smart house, couldn't they? And he goes, you know what? I actually thought of the same thing. And what is interesting about that is that would be a solution, but it's one that I think our politicians are fearful of actually even talking about, because you sound like a lunatic. But I mean, if we could talk about UFOs right now, I mean, can't we talk about like the Army Corps of Engineers building houses? No, we can't do that, you see, because we have to stay preoccupied with who Taylor Swift is dating. We need that preoccupation right now. We have to be preoccupied with YouTube playing concerts in that big old eye out in Las Vegas right now. We have to be preoccupied with these things, you see. We can't talk about the real issues.
Yeah, I was gonna say, all I see on some of these feeds is Taylor Swift showing up to a football game and a UFO being sighted over somewhere else.
I'm ready for the invasion. Come on, alien invasion. I'm ready.
I was talking to a friend, and we were going back and forth on some different topics, and I was like, it's a really, really weird time to be alive right now, as far as what we see and what we get to tolerate. All right, getting back on it. Last topic for the day, which is crazy with all of the things that would bring friction to a market, which we've seen. August posted a betterment of 5.8% compared to the August of last year. So we actually sold a bunch of homes in August. I'm wondering, whenever this market finally does soften, and because the thought is people, I don't want to sell the house because I'm going to get smoked on the new house that I'm buying, but I'm going to really make $1 million in the house that I'm selling, whatever. But whenever this thing kind of normalizes and softens a little bit, who's going to be the big winners in a softer market when everything gets to a little bit easier during the buying and selling process?
I mean, everybody, right? I mean, everybody benefits. Real estate, it's an engine. It needs to move. We need to move properties. Everybody does. I mean, I forget what some of the numbers are, but when you think of when a house sells, how many people does that employ? How much money does that bring into a local economy? How many Midwest cities? You're in Missouri, right?
Mm-hmm.
how many small towns out there would benefit from an influx of a couple $1,000,000 a month into their economy? I mean, I mean,
Yeah.
it's incalculable how many people would benefit from it. Um, Now, I would say this though, for especially realtors and lenders right now, we're selling caution. And why would we sell caution? You're in the business of selling real estate, and that's what we do. And real estate as a long term investment has always been good. And we saw that from 2008 when property values tanked. They're higher now than they were then. No one ever
Mhm.
thought that was going to happen. But here's the deal. It's what you said a moment ago, Sean. Those entry level homes, the small houses, we're not building any of them. It's not even on the radar right now. So if you're somebody who bought what would now be deemed an entry level home, which is expanded because we just don't build them anymore.
Yeah.
But if you have what is deemed a lower cost, lower priced entry level home, that is going to be the hot ticket item for the foreseeable future. Okay. So right now, sure, we don't have enough inventory. However, if you sell your entry level home, you are going to get top dollar for it. Whatever you will get the top of the market, whatever you can get that property to appraise for, and probably then some. You will be buying into a softer market because presumably 75% of the people out there are going to be moving up, not moving down. If that's the case for you, a hard market actually benefits the seller in an entry level market. You're just buying into a softer market. Yes, I want to sell my property for top dollar where I'm not going to concede anything and I'm not going to pay anything. And you're going to buy my house as is and you're going to like it, or I'm going to sell it to one of the other 10 people who want to buy it. Then when I move up and when I go buy going forward, I'm going to start looking at some really interesting options that I got in front of me. For example, I might ask that seller to pay 5 points to buy my rate down, and then maybe because we do know rates are going to come back down, maybe I'm going to put that on a 5-1 or a 5-2 arm, and then buy the rate down by 5%, which would get me a start rate in the threes. I could get a 3 right now for the next 5 years. That's on the table for me if I'm moving up. I might look at something like that. That seems like a pretty decent idea. So, again, I like the idea of like, what can a real estate agent or what can a lender do right now to benefit their circumstance? Like, that's a conversation I would start to have in droves. I would go out there to all the entry level homes. I would identify who those people are and say, hey, listen, if you thought about selling right now, don't be afraid to buy into a market. You're selling you hear this buy low, sell high. You've got the opportunity to do that with entry level homes. This is how I'm going to occupy my time as a realtor or lender right now. And so the opportunity is always there for us. If the market softens, Sean, to get around to it, yeah, everybody will benefit because it will start to loosen things up. And as we've spoke about in droves and what you alluded to a few moments ago, I mean, I've had my baby boomers busting around me all over the place. I am making light of this, but I'm not making light of this. But I am the offspring from that generation who is now just falling right before our eyes. And this is something that I'm seeing almost on a daily basis, certainly a weekly basis, with my sphere of influence and my ecosystem and their parents. And
Mhm.
when the largest generation who's ever owned property does start to pass away, that inventory is going to start to avail itself. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, I just had from what I do, how I occupy my time outside of the show has nothing to do with my show or my involvement in real estate, but just from what I do outside of work. I've referred 2 listings to 2 real estate agents in the last week for this exact reason. One of my friends, his parents had a reverse mortgage. His mother just passed away this last week. I referred that over. And then I have another friend of mine whose parents passed away, and he's going to sell the house and move to Spain.
No.
And so, so again, a lot this opportunity is making itself available for those who are astute enough to find a way to get in the middle of these type of conversations on real estate. So as a
Yeah.
lender or realtor in any market, age doesn't know any boundaries, does it? So I would start to look in those areas as a realtor or lender.
Yeah, the industry, real estate agent or lender, we're very adaptive, and the ones that want to hustle can always find a way of being able to be of service and to still navigate through because what we experienced in '08, every time Dick and Harry owned a broker shop, and there was lenders everywhere, and then whenever we went through all of that with licensing and everything, it kind of expunged a lot of people out of the business. And whenever things flipped, everyone had much more, the market share, just everyone started popping. And
Yeah.
You know, we're coming up on renewal time again this year. There was a huge drop off last year. I'm interested to see how many people don't renew their mortgage license this year and also their real estate license this year. And you know, onward and upward for the folks that made it through.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So there's over 3 million licensed real estate agents out there. Now, we know that they don't all practice real estate, and we know that they're not all realtors, not realtors, but realtors.
Oh, don't say the A. Don't say the A.
Realtors deal with it. Realtors. We know that. I don't know why you're so proud of that. NAR's been selling you guys down the river for a decade now. But okay, let me ask you this. I mean this too. So let's just chop it down. There's 2 million licensed real estate agents. That would include the realtors. If a million were to quit tomorrow, what would happen?
A million? I mean, it's probably the millionaire doing a damn thing anyway. I don't know.
You want to know what happened?
What?
Service would improve.
It would or would not?
It would.
Oh, 100%. Yes. You
Okay.
get you get the non-players out of it, and you get the people that actually know what the hell they're doing. They're doing more than one transaction a year. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. If 1.6 million realtors quit, what would happen?
I would think that it would even improve even further.
Isn't that scary? But no, I'm not. We're not joking here.
Well,
you know what did we say? It's the top 2% of real estate agents do 75% of all business.
It's the
numbers
80-20 rule.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
We not only would it be a good thing, and that by the way, that's a sad commentary on an industry, because for the great real estate agents out there, and I know a ton of them, like one of the real estate agents who I just referred over to my friend whose parents just passed away, he's calling me for advice on a daily basis. He's got a whole bunch of stuff to untie, as far as trusts, as far as accounts, as far as crap in the house, as far as that reverse mortgage. This is going to be a full-time job for somebody for the next 4 months. And he's leaning on me right now. I don't have the bandwidth to do it. I got a great real estate agent who's going to work with him and figure all of this stuff out. It's going to be months before she lists this place. She's going to get paid handsomely. The house is going to sell for close to $1 million. But this is going to be a 6-month job for her. So there's great realtors out there. But for those great real estate agents like the one I was just speaking of, it's the other 1.6 million real estate agents out there are really soiling your reputation by not doing a great job, by not knowing how to fill out a contract, by not knowing how to negotiate a transaction, by being too eager to list a property, too eager to sell a property, and not putting your client's needs first, even though I know you're held to a higher standard of ethics because you took a Scantron test. I get that. I'm just saying, a sociopath. Ted Bundy could have passed that Scantron test. He could have passed it. He would have figured it out. But that doesn't mean he's got the higher standard of ethics. No, it doesn't. But what I'm saying is that the industry will benefit from what's taking place right now.
Sure.
You know, with these renewals coming up, Sean, the only thing that I can hope for, and this is because I love real estate and I live real estate, and it matters to me reputationally how we come across. Let's have the forest fire for a little while. I think we kind of need it. It's going to hurt, but darn it, there's going to be a lot of great growth and offspring and opportunity that comes out of this.
Yeah, and I think we're knee deep in the forest fire. It's been the dumpster's been on fire for about 1 year and 10 months now. So yeah, I'm ready for some reprieve. But anyways, I appreciate you, sir. We're at our time. Like always, have a wonderful week. Enjoy, and we'll be talking to you again next month.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Happy selling, people. Happy selling. Smile.